Today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast is brought to you by the Dune 2 Popcorn Bucket. When you need that sticky, salty goodness, and for a limited time, the Dune 2 Popcorn Bucket comes in 2 delightful fragrances, shame and loneliness. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but also giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or even a little bit different than ours. Joining me in studio today, we got Ray Ora.
I'm going to be camping out in a tent
For that
days
bucket?
before it's released.
What's
Give me
released?
a couple.
Sitting over here, we got Jonathan Voico.
Oh, hey, guys. How you doing?
Chris Carr is here.
You guys, I look like Rule 63 Eddie Munson today. The weather is not my friend.
It's a lot of rain in
It's a
California
lot of
right
rain
now.
and it's a lot of frizz over here. So enjoy this visual component.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day, and here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about some predetermined topics, and particularly about how useless fan-voted awards are. And then we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have some comments, questions, thoughts, opinions, observations, go ahead and fire them in using the Super Chat feature. And as long as it's appropriate to be used on our show, we'll address those at the end of the show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this, shall we? Speaking of the Dune 2 Popcorn Bucket, of course, Dune 2 coming out. Going to see it this Sunday. Very excited. Seeing it in a couple of days. Ray got the tickets for us. I cannot believe how excited I am. But if you guys watch the show, you know just recently Ann and I went to go watch the original Dune in theaters again. And this movie just gets better every time I see it. Well, apparently we weren't alone. Because according to reports now, Dune 2, the re-release, the movie that's available online to stream for free, made over $30 million. The re-release has made over $30 million, driving the overall box office of the original Dune up now to $433 million. Now, of course, many of you guys know that while $400 million sounds like a little low for the original release of Dune, you got to remember two things. It was released during a pandemic. And number two, HBO decided to release it on HBO Max and in theaters on the same day. So you could stay at home and watch it for free, or you go to the movies, and it still made over $400 million and made $30 million. Now, to put that $30 million into perspective, and there are caveats to this, admittedly, but just in general, Spider-Man No Way Home, when it re-released with an additional 8 minutes of never-before-seen footage, and they did that re-release, that re-release made $9 million. Avatar in 2022, when it did its big global re-release right before Avatar: The Way of Water came out, made the same amount that Dune did, $30 million. The point here is that $30 million on a re-release is staggeringly good and quite frankly a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Leads to the question, how big do I think the opening weekend of Dune 2 is going to be next weekend? Honestly, I still don't know. You know, we were talking about the comparisons between Dune and Star Wars. We had one of our viewers write in last week and asking, could Dune be the new Star Wars? And I said no, not because Dune isn't incredible, it is, but whereas Star Wars, which is my favorite thing in life, is Star Wars, but whereas Star Wars is a space opera, really for everybody, Dune is more cerebral. It's more mythology building. It's more, thinking kind of movie. That's not necessarily for everybody. That's neither good nor bad. It's just different, right? But I don't know how big this thing's going to be opening weekend. I'm guessing 75 million is just a pure guess of mine. Anyway, Chris, you were one of the people that, you didn't love the first Dune movie. No. There are others who didn't as well.
Mm-hmm. I wish they would vocalize it more.
No,
Are
it's just
you-
you because
It's
they're all
just
saying
me.
silent.
It's just me.
What do you think
I'm
about
the
this
only
number,
brave
though?
one.
What do you think about this number? 30 million on a re-release for a film that is currently available to be streamed for free.
It just goes to show you how much people did want to watch this in theaters. People loved seeing this in theaters who did see it. And that's part of it. Jonathan's brought this up before. Maybe I didn't like this movie that much because I saw it on my dinky little TV at home in the pandemic when I also was just like, what is life?
But if
Everything's
the movie's
meaningless.
good,
Yeah.
for you,
For me,
it should
I'm
appeal
usually
to you
into
whether
it.
it's on a big screen or a
Yeah.
small screen. To be fair,
But
right?
it could have augmented how I felt about it, right? But a lot of people love this movie, and the fact that so many people keep running out to theaters to go see this again in preparation for the second film just is a huge vote of confidence for how the second one's going to do at the box office. It also is a bit of a, punch in the dick to WB of like, hey, remember how you did this? Remember
Yeah.
how you did Day and Date? Oh, you shouldn't have. You left so much money on the table before. So I think this is a very nice win for Denis. I think this is a great sign for Dune 2. And if this is a film and franchise that you super love and are really jazzed about, it's a win for you too. Because who doesn't like going back to the movies to see one of their favorites up on that big screen?
I think there's a little bit of here. Bob Iger was putting Luca, Turning Red, and Soul back in theaters, understanding it wasn't going to make any money, but it was a make good for the people at
Sure.
Pixar who were pissed off. Part of me wonders if Warner Brothers, who is now under new ownership, it was different ownership that pulled that idiotic let's make a day and date release on HBO streaming the same day. It was almost, I wonder if there's the same kind of philosophy here where the new ownership of Warner Brothers is saying, hey, see, Denis, we got you. We got your back. We're in your corner. We're going to put Dune back in theaters
Yeah.
right now. And listen, in case any of you guys forgot what happened, like the Dune and the decision to put all Warner Brothers movies, including Dune, and I believe it was 2021 or 2022, I can't remember now, straight to home video was, number one, sparked Denis, a nice, even-headed Canadian kid, to pen an op-in letter on, it was either Variety or the Hollywood Reporter, talking about how stupid Warner Brothers was. And that decision to move the first Dune movie to day and date prompted Christopher Nolan to say, I'm out. And he left Warner Brothers, took his new project, Oppenheimer, over to, I believe, Universal.
Yep.
And now he's about to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards, whereas Warner Brothers is just sitting. And remember, this is new ownership now. They're not the ones who did it, but still, Warner Brothers is left to sit there and look, what could have been? All because of some drama around that first Dune movie. Anyway, I think this is remarkable numbers for this thing on a re-release. We'll see how well Dune 2 does. Again, I'm not expecting it to make $200 million opening weekend, but I think like $75 million could be
Yeah.
a reasonable range.
I think it's going to have a very, decent opening. I think it could do really well. And I say this as somebody who didn't love it. Everyone who I know did love it is obsessed with it. And everyone wants that freaking bucket. So,
Ah, that's right. That's what's going to bring
That's
them out.
what's gonna do
is
it.
Who wants to get their hands on that
the Dune
2
fans and all the
bucket.
freaks. Everyone who wants to get a little freaky with their bucket.
That's right. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? We are now less than 48 hours away from the coming of the Avatar. The new incarnation of the Avatar. Avatar Aang is coming. The live-action version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It still feels to me like something that's a couple of months away. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So when they dropped what they are calling the final trailer today for Avatar, the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it brought up on the screen coming February 22nd, I'm like, wait a minute, what's the date? It's February 20th now. It's like, it's practically here.
Yeah.
So they dropped the final trailer. And I got to tell you, we have seen mountains of good trailers to movies and TV shows that have ended up being ass, right? We all have. So a good trailer is no guarantee of a good show or a good movie. I'm just acknowledging that right up front. That being said, there are a lot of Avatar fans who were nervous when Netflix undertook the process of making this into a live action show without the creators of the original animated thing. The last trailer, the first full trailer that they dropped for Avatar: The Last Airbender was fantastic. It was really good. And listen, I like Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I'm not a huge mega fan. There's certainly somebody in this office right now who's a bigger fan of it than me. But even I looked at it, I'm like, this looks really good. Like, forget that it was based on a popular cartoon series. If this came out of nowhere, if this trailer just dropped in a void out of nowhere, I would look at this and say, I want to see this. Well, they dropped the new trailer today, the final trailer. They showed past avatars. They showed the avatar state. We got Aang saying, I wonder if they would do the saying, yip, yip.
She likes me.
I was about to say the second best yip yip in media, because the best yip yip is clearly Vanilla Ice saying yip yip, she likes me. So that's an impossible mountain for Aang to try to climb. But I mean, we got a better look at him doing his classic cross-legged
Technique that he came up with, his air scooter.
Yeah, his air scooting, which looked good. We got another good look
I got
at
an air scooter,
Boomy.
too.
Farts don't count, Jonathan.
I've got to feel that there are probably a lot, not all, but I've got to feel that there are probably a lot of those Avatar: The Last Airbender fans who were really nervous about Netflix making this, who have got to have been at least reassured following the two trailers we just got. And on top of that, you know, the original voice cast of the animated show have been putting out reaction videos to the trailers, and they've been losing their minds.
Yeah.
Like, so when you see the people who actually did the voices in the animated one saying, this live action thing looks fantastic, because they're going crazy over it, that's got to, I think, at least reassured a lot of the fans who have been nervous about it. Not everybody. And again, trailer's a trailer. The show may stink. But you know what really stuck out to me about this trailer was that I'm listening to the dialogue. And at first, I felt like the dialogue feels off. And then I listened to it a bit more. I'm like, you know, no, you know what it is? They're saying these lines exactly the way their characters spoke in the show. Different voices, but it's like, this is how it came across and spoke. And I thought, I have a feeling that's going to please a lot of people that they're doing that. Anyway, Chris, I really enjoyed the new trailer. I got to admit, I didn't think I'd get to the point where like I'm majorly excited to watch this thing, but I am now, thanks to the trailers. You're the bigger Avatar fan in the room. What did you think of the new trailer?
I love this trailer. I love it so much. At the end of it, I was just like, he's so precious. He must be protected. I love this young
yip,
actor.
yip.
Oh, his yip yip is so great. His air scooting was so great. I think this looks adorable. And I hope this does make fans feel more at ease, because I feel like the world looks really great. It is stylized, but that's what I personally wanted. I wanted this to feel like the animated series that I've watched, but kind of with its own flavor. Sure, I can understand some people have said the CGI doesn't look fantastic. It's Netflix. And also, like, let's give it a moment because we watched a trailer. Maybe in the show, we're going to have this feel very, very nice and lived in and everything and feel authentic to the show. And I feel like most of the things that people have disliked about this show are things that don't matter, and we haven't seen it yet, right? Everyone who I've heard say negative things about this show has been like, well, the creator said that Sozin's Comet's not going to be important. No, what he said is it's not going to be of main focus this first season. It's not in the first book of the animated series either. There's going to be no bossing say. There is no bossing say in the first season. So let's stop being outraged about things that don't matter for this first season and look at things that we can take for face value. This wonderful tone, the actors really fit in the vibe of these characters. Having an amazing actor playing Iroh. I mean, there's so much to love here. And I think this is going to be a really excellent series. And my husband's very mad that we are going out of town on Thursday because he was like, well, I don't want to see anyone. I only want to watch this show. I'm kind of in that same boat now, too.
I told Chris I have this morning I ordered a sweatshirt that said Team Fire Nation.
Evil.
And I want to get trending the hashtag.
Evil.
Hashtag Ozai was right.
The Air Nomads.
I think
the
we
Air
should get
Nomads.
Ozai was right. The Air Nomads, they were up to no good. Look, that brings up a bigger topic too that comes up a lot in movie fandom, whether we're talking about adaptations of comics or novels or shows, which is, guys, don't judge the show based on how closely it follows the original source material. Judge the show on its own merits. Is it really good? Because I mean, I think one of the greatest, I bring this up all the time, I think one of the greatest comic book movies of all time is X-Men Days of Future Past. I love that movie. It's not a top 5 for me, but it's in my top 10. And if I approached that movie and said, I'm only going to like it if it properly and sternly follows the comic book of Days of Future Past, then I would have walked out disappointed and upset and pissed off and wouldn't have been able to just really appreciate a truly great thing. So I would say to those people who say, there's no bossing say, okay, well, or how important the comment's going to be or whatever, just check your bias for a bit. Just sit down and watch the show and see if it really works on its own merits. And don't judge it on based on how closely does it follow the source material. Remember, I always say this and people hate it that I say it, makes it no less true. The number one job of a storyteller, whether it's movies or TV show, is not to be as faithful as possible to the source material. The number one job of storytellers, be it movies or TV, is to make the best product possible, make the best story possible. Sometimes that means following closely to source material. Sometimes that means, hey, here or there, take some liberties. But I just hope that I and everybody else are able to just sit down, watch this thing on its own merits, and then judge it on its own merits. And hopefully it'll be good. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be another, what's the one with Laufey, with Monkey Laufey?
One Piece?
One Piece. Maybe it'll be next One Piece, or maybe it'll be the next Cowboy Bebop. Wah, wah. I mean, but judge it on its own merits, and then let's see how it turns out.
We not only have that premiere coming up, we have another show tomorrow too. Just to
What is
put
it?
that Constellation on Apple TV Plus.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one too, and this one. So we got some premieres this week.
And what days do Halo come out?
Thursday.
Thursdays. Okay. I still haven't seen the newest episode. I like the first two episodes. I gotta get caught up on the newest one.
You could save that and group it up with the next one.
No, I like to watch it as they come out.
Okay.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What did you think about the new Avatar: The Last Airbender, the final Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer? What are your expectations like as the show is imminently about to come out and drop? Let us know down in the comments sections below. All right, guys. We still got to talk about Fifth Element director Luc Besson is directing a Dracula movie with two-time Academy Award winner Christoph Waltz. And also, the People's Choice Awards happened. You won't believe who won Best Dramatic Actor of the Year and Best Action Star of the Year, emphasizing why I always say fan-voted awards are useless. But before we get to those, we're going to take a quick second here and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, my mobile service provider, and they should be yours, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. On average, it takes about 30 days for a person to break their New Year's resolution. So if saving money was on your 2024 list, your odds aren't looking that great. Luckily, I have a 100% guaranteed way to save you money this year. Just switch to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month. I've told you guys many times that after switching to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than a third on my cell bill than I used to with a major carrier. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All Mint plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And don't worry about having to change phones or numbers. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So guys, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And thank you to the good folks at Mint Mobile for being my mobile service provider and for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Luc Besson is a really interesting name in Hollywood because he's directed like one of the most beloved sci-fi films. Honestly, a film I don't love as much as most people do, but whatever. Fifth Element. And then he got back in a big way into sci-fi when he did that Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. True story. Me and Ann got invited and we were at the world premiere, big party of it. And it was one of those movies that is at premiere. I'd never done this at a premiere before. We were all dressed up. We're at the premiere. And as soon as the credits started rolling, I just turned to Ann and it's like, we got to leave right now. Because this movie was so bad, I don't want to bump into any of the producers or filmmakers or whatever and then have to lie. It was bad. And so we snuck out. And it was funny because we snuck out and standing outside of the theater was John Schnepp and his girlfriend. And I'm like, did you guys sneak out early too? They're like, God, man, it was so bad. I'm like, yeah, that was pretty
It's a
bad.
really bad movie, which is a shame because it's excellent source material to
And
play with.
badly cast too.
Yeah.
Like who was the lead guy in it? The
It
guy,
was Green Goblin, or not?
the guy from
Is it Butler?
Dane DeHaan.
What's his
Dane
name?
DeHaan.
Oh, no, it was Dane DeHaan. You're right.
Who
Sorry.
is an excellent actor. First took notice of him in Chronicle with him and Michael B. Jordan. Excellent movie.
Yeah.
Dane DeHaan is a fabulous actor. So miscast in this movie. Taylor Swift's best buddy, Cara
Delevingne.
Delevingne or whatever. Also horribly miscast. And it was a very, very badly miscast movie. But at any rate, he's also made some great stuff, Luc Besson has. So according to reports right now, he's going to make a new Dracula movie, which is funny because Robert Eggers, director of The Northman, The Witch, The Lighthouse, he's got a Dracula movie, a Nosferatu movie in the makings right now too. But Luc Besson is going to do it, but here's the catch. He's got two-time Academy Award winner Christoph Waltz, who is absolutely one of my favorite guys to see in movies. Even in that one terrible Three Musketeers movie he was in, where he played the Cardinal, awful movie. But man, as Robert Meyer Burnett would say, he classed up the joint every scene that he had. On top of that, Caleb Landry Jones, who was Banshee in First Class and outstanding in Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Still one of the most moving, wonderful movies I've seen in the last decade or more. That movie is so good, and I know a lot of you guys haven't seen it yet, but Sam Rockwell won an Academy Award for it, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, go see Three Billboards. So he's going to do this Dracula movie. It's going to be based on Bram Stoker's Dracula, and he's got Christoph Waltz in it. And I mean, you know what? Sign me up. I'm good with this. I want to see this. You don't see a lot of Dracula, a lot of vampire stuff today, not a ton of Dracula stuff. So I'm down for this. Chris, you heard the news about this. Good move, bad move. Are you looking forward to this? What do you think?
Great move. Let Christoph Waltz do everything forever and always. Let him do whatever he wants. I'd watch him read the phone book. What an incredible actor. And I was also not a big fan of Valerian, but I love Fifth Element. I love that movie so much. It's so quotable. It's so aesthetic, but in a way that pays off and makes sense. It's not too much style over substance. It's so fun. And I would love a really slick Dracula movie, especially with that guy. Come on. Who wouldn't you'd invite him into your house. You'd get eaten. You'd get killed. This guy? Yeah.
You know, to this day, the opening scene of Inglourious Bastards is like one of the greatest opening scenes in film history, with Christoph Waltz he comes into that family's home and they sitting down with glass. I mean, it's like one of the most tension-filled, like just oozing the atmosphere of the tension in the room. Oh my God, it's so good. Christoph Waltz. And then of course in Django, he was just brilliant as well. So yeah, I'm down for this. Looking forward to seeing it. Question is for you guys. What do you think? Luc Besson, Christoph Waltz. You down for a Dracula movie? Or maybe you're thinking, man, there's just too much vampire stuff out there. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The other night, good Canadian kid and Shang-Chi star Simu Liu hosted the People's Choice Awards, an awards ceremony that is absolutely and fundamentally useless because it's a voted on award by fans, much liken them to the MTV Movie Awards, which are also, as my father would say, useless as tits on a bull. Just no practical function, no purpose for it to exist in whatsoever. And this is something I've talked about a lot over the years. And I mentioned on the show here from time to time that any fan-voted awards are useless. Now, whenever I bring that up, that fan-voted awards are completely useless, I will inevitably get some pushback saying, so John, you're saying that fans' opinions don't matter? No, twit. I'm not saying fans' opinions don't matter. Fans' opinions do matter. I am a fan. My opinion matters. You're a fan. Your opinion matters. it's not that I say that that fan voted awards are useless because fans don't matter. It's because only a certain segment of the fandoms votes should count. You see, and I talk about this a lot when the MTV Movie Awards comes out and everything. I don't believe anybody should be allowed to vote for, say, Best Male Actor of the Year if they've only seen 3 movies this year. If somebody who's only seen 3 movies this year, if you got one movie fan who's seen 3 movies this year and another movie fan who's seen 23 movies this year, their vote should not be equal. Okay? Their vote shouldn't be equal because this one person didn't even see it. I remember after one MTV movie, this got driven home a couple years ago after an MTV Movie Awards, and then they did a survey and they released the results of the survey that the average person who voted on the MTV Movie Awards, the average had seen 6 films that year. That was the average. That meant there was a lot of people voting who had seen 2 or 3. And a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Symptom of this disease. I bring our attention to People's Exhibit A, the results of the People's Choice Awards, where they have a category this year for Best Female Action. Sorry, no, not even female. Best Action Star. Best Action Star of the Year. And we had nominees like these. Keanu Reeves. You can bring this up, Jonathan. Keanu Reeves for John Wick Chapter 4. A beginning to end, wall-to-wall action orgy. Tom Cruise literally driving a motorcycle off a cliff. Jason Momoa, a lot of action in Aquaman Lost Kingdom, whatever you thought about that. Gal Gadot in Heart of Stone, totally piece of garbage movie, but, I mean, there's some action in that. Chris Pratt, action film, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Brie Larson in the Marvels, action in that, all that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, clearly this should be like Keanu or Tom Cruise's award. Nope. You know who the fans voted for Best Action Star of the Year? Rachel Zegler for A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That's who the fans voted for Best Action Star of the Year. Because I know when I think of Rachel Zegler, I think action movie. I mean, I know when I think of the Dune 2 popcorn bucket, I think of action. But Zegler as an action star over Keanu Reeves in John Wick 4 and over Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, that's who the people who have seen 4 movies this year and probably didn't see John Wick and probably didn't see Mission Impossible, that's who they voted for. Again, it's not that their opinion, the people who saw the 4 movies, it's not that their opinion shouldn't matter, but their opinions and votes should not be relevant to a movie award show that's supposed to have any relevance. Another example of this, under the category of Best Movie, Dramatic Movie Star of the Year, Best Drama Star of the Year, the nominees included Cillian Murphy of Oppenheimer, Leonardo DiCaprio of Killers of the Flower Moon, Florence Pugh in Oppenheimer, Fantasia Barrino in The Color Purple, Julia Roberts in Leave the World Behind. And your winner of Dramatic Movie Star of the Year, of course, it was Jenna Ortega for Scream 6. Yay! And listen, I love Jenna Ortega. I really like Jenna Ortega.
That movie was so dramatic.
It was so much drama.
People,
oh my
like,
God.
literally died.
Yeah.
It was like crazy.
And listen, by the way, I really like Rachel Zegler too. She was very good in Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. She was very good in that movie. She was not the action star of the year. And I really like Jenna Ortega. Really, Jenna Ortega, dramatic actor of the year over Cillian Murphy in Killers of the Flower Moon and over Leonardo DiCaprio. Or Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, Leonardo DiCaprio in Killers of the Flower Moon. Look, this sort of thing comes up, and I think it just reasserts again why fan-voted awards should not exist. Unless, and I want to offer this one thing, and this kind of came up, this kind of idea percolated a bit on an open mic a couple of weeks ago. The only way I can see a fan-voted awards can have any relevance whatsoever is if the voting is done through something like Fandango. So, a little bit of background context here. So, a little while ago, a couple of years ago, Rotten Tomatoes changed their audience rating for movies to only allowing people who they have verified have actually seen the movie can vote to try to stop review bombing, right? Because a lot of people with political agendas, whatever, would go and review bomb a movie before it ever came out, before they ever saw it, right? Didn't matter. So they did the system through Fandango that also uses Regal's ticketing system and AMC's ticketing system, and of course their major Fandango ticketing system, that people who have actually bought tickets to that movie and saw that movie could actually register their votes on the audience score in Rotten Tomatoes, which it was a great move. I mean, it's a wonderful move. I don't care about the opinions of somebody on a movie who hasn't seen the movie. I only want to see what people think who actually can confirm that they saw the film. If you could integrate something like that, like if something like the People's Choice Awards or even the MTV Movie Awards could partner up with Fandango or something like that, where, hey, anybody can vote, but, we've got to confirm through Fandango that you saw at least, and don't make the number like 40 movies this year, but like you saw at least 16 movies this year. That's not bad, right? That's a little more than one movie a month. Like, and only people who have seen minimum 16, I mean, hopefully it would be more than that, but minimum 16 films, some people might want to say minimum 20, some might say minimum 25, whatever number you want to set. But just as a way to weed out those people who end up giving Jenna Ortega, who I like very much, Best Dramatic Star of the Year for her Oscar-turning performance in Scream 6 over a Cillian Murphy or over a Julia Roberts or what have you, right? If you can set up a system where you're telling me the fans who have actually seen movies are the ones that are voting, then actually I'm okay with it. Then I'm totally good with it. But as long as these award shows are just letting people who vote on movies that they've never seen and have probably only gone to the movie theater 4 times this year, then there's just simply no relevance to it whatsoever. And that's why you shouldn't watch the MTV Movie Awards and you shouldn't watch the People's Choice Awards. Anyway, Chris, that's been my stick for a long time. Years I've felt that kind of way. But I don't think you and I have ever discussed this. What did you think about the results of these results and basically the overall state of fan-voted award shows like the MTV Movie Awards and the People's Choice?
I mean, I've gone to the MTV Movie Awards and it was real fun.
I went to them too. I used to cover them. They are fun.
They're fun.
They are fun.
Would I have voted this way? No. Do I understand the popular vote facet of this? Yes. Is this how I feel about most voting? Absolutely. Where it's just, a bunch of uninformed people kind of messed up and made the wrong choice. But I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum. If you think that Rachel Zegler was the best action star of the year, good for you. Yeah, I don't agree.
I have no problem with that either. If you have seen more than that one movie and maybe 2 others this year, then I agree.
But I don't think it also has the same, and no shade to the People's Choice Awards, there's not the same level of prestige and pedigree of winning, a People's Choice Award as there is a Golden Globe, as there is a SAG Award, as there is an Oscar, right? So I feel like I would love for these people to see more movies, but also then how are you going to vet that? How are you going to do that? Because it's just a popular vote, right?
Well, I mean, I suggested a way to vet it, using the Fandango system to verify that people have seen a certain number of movies before they vote.
Will that get people tuning in, though, if there's an extra step? Because people are lazy. Let's call a spade a spade. People are incredibly lazy, and people don't like to do that. Yeah. And also, people like to just vote for what they like anyway. So even if they did use the Fandango system, it's still going to have the possibility of having these same results of, I did go see 5 other movies, but I still love Rachel the most, or I still love Jenna the most. I will say, was really happy to see Pedro, because I was very happy about that, where it was, if I had gotten to vote for the Emmys and Golden Globes and everything, I would have put Last of Us ahead of Succession. That's just me. So I can understand why these feel silly and pointless and everything. But again, it's just for another way for people to celebrate movies, television, that sort of thing. So I don't find myself getting too hung up on it. I can understand the frustration. I can understand wanting to have a better vetting system, but it's like Homecoming. That's what it is.
It is because like basically this calls it out. Like Rachel Zegler, best action star of the year. This is nothing more than
she sang to those snakes.
It's nothing more than a popularity contest.
Yeah.
So it's just saying this is what
sang
this is. If you're okay, if it's just like a popularity contest, then fine, because that's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not based on the movie. Like, again,
No.
I have no problem if somebody who saw Julia Roberts in her film and Tom Cruise in his and Keanu Reeves in his, and I have no qualms or issues because film is subjective. If somebody who saw all those movies says, I'm voting for Rachel Zegler, okay, I may disagree, but I have no problem with that because film is subjective, and if that's the one that worked for you the best. What I have a problem with is when somebody who didn't see any of those other movies, but I'm just a big Hunger Games fan,
right?
So I'm just going to vote for that because reasons.
Yeah.
Well, then it's not valid. Then it's not a valid voting system.
It's usually ballpark. Like they have these stupid like categories, best kiss in a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's usually ballpark. The people kissed. And it probably was a steamy kiss, and it won. This is like, this wasn't even ballpark. Like, you didn't even come close to nailing that vote.
Anyway, the debate will continue and rage for as long as the MTV Movie Awards and the People's Choice Awards exist. I just think they got to change the system. The fans' vote should be heard. But I think the real fans, the ones who actually go and watch movies, is that crazy? Is that crazy?
I feel like it's kind of a different group, though, that watches this.
Might be. Yeah. Yeah.
I love Simu Liu. I got very excited that he was hosting
Love
something.
him.
And then I went, People's Choice Awards? I'll watch some clips later.
Yeah.
I watched the BAFTAs. And I know a whole bunch of my friends were like, why are you watching the BAFTAs?
Boring. Just a bunch of British people speaking
So
like British
British.
people.
Because I want to watch and see what these films win. And also David Tennant's hosting. And
What were the
cute.
awards? Best librarian? Psh.
I was very excited about that one.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Maybe you're one of the clearly many people who voted for Rachel Zegler to win Action Star of the Year and Jenna Ortega to win Dramatic Star of the Year. Okay, whatever. I'm fine with it as long as the fans who actually watch movies are the ones that are voting. I don't know. Maybe there's not a practical way to fix it. Maybe there is, and they're just not trying. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump into the comments and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that all down, all this talk about sticky, salty popcorn and the Dune 2 popcorn bucket reminds me that it's getting close to lunchtime. I'm getting hungry. You know who can help you with that? One of our other sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Factor. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Factor. You know, guys, some days it's great to prepare your own meal, but some days it's great to have wonderful, delicious meals already ready to go. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals makes eating better every day easy. Wherever tomorrow takes you, be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. You'll have over 35 different options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan, veggie, and more. And there's even more to enjoy with over 55 nutrition-packed add-ons that help make your weekly meal planning even more delicious. So what are you waiting for? Get started today and have a feel-good week of meals ready to go. They've got snacks, smoothies, and more. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. And guys, you get to save. We've done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. So guys, head to factormeals.com/Campea50 and use the code Campea50 to get 50% off. That's code Campea50 at factormeals.com/Campea50 to get 50% off. Oh, wait, are we back?
Yes.
Oh, hi guys. We're back. Never mind the conversation that we were just having. We're having nothing to hear, nothing to see here at all. All right, guys, with that all down, we're back. Let's get over and start taking your live comments and questions. Shall we?
Yes.
Chris, what do we got up
Jonathan was
first?
trying to do that countdown.
I was
so
like,
much. He was
recover.
like,
Gotta
5.
recover.
I was like coming out. I was like, we're
Five.
coming back. We're coming back.
What's that about molasses?
It's happening.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Okay. From Luke1234, $1.99 from Luke1234. Did you have your town hall from the studio?
No, that's going to be this week sometime. Ooh, you know what, though? It might not be. Okay, so I have every once in a while for our beloved YouTube channel members, because they are our most ardent supporters, we do these town hall meetings where I do a live stream with just our YouTube channel members. And oftentimes it's just to kind of give updates on the state of the channel and some announcements about things that are coming. We do have a pretty significant one that I have some future changes that are coming that I want to make sure our YouTube channel members are informed of first and know about first. Now, I was planning on doing that town hall meeting this week, but this week is getting away from me a little bit. And now, Thursday, Anna's decided that this weekend is going to be the weekend that we do my birthday celebrations weekend. So we're going off to Vegas Thursday right after the show so I can go see the Leafs play, and we're going to catch U2 at the Sphere, and she wants to go see Bad Bunny the next night in Vegas, which is fine. So it'll probably be next week. So YouTube channel members, keep your ears open. I will let you know in the community tab when that meeting is going to happen. It was going to be this week, but it'll probably be next week now. All right, what's next?
From Cody Hunt, based on Ray falling asleep in every movie, are we sure he doesn't have narcolepsy?
I am not convinced he doesn't. But here, listen, I'm going to let you guys know something. Anne's family, so for those of you who don't know, my wife Anne and Ray are brother and sister. There is a genetic superpower that runs in that family that I do not possess, and I kind of am a little bit envious of. They can fall asleep on command. Like some actors can cry on command. Like the moment Anne says, I'm going to take a nap, I'll reach down, grab my iPad, and then ask her something, and she's already asleep. Ray will lay on the floor and just instantly fall asleep. We've actually had family gatherings at my house. This is a 100% true story. We've literally had family gatherings in my house where Ray will be sitting on the couch. Some people will be standing around. Some people will be sitting at the dining table behind it. And there'll be a back and forth conversation between Ray and one of his siblings. Sibling says, blah, blah, blah. Ray says, blah, blah, blah. Sibling says, blah, blah, blah. Ray. And he literally.
But now you're making it sound like I have something. But no.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He just can fall asleep.
It's just
anytime.
I need action all the time, like John Wick 4 style. Like if your conversation.
I think you mean
is
Rachel
not
Zegler in
Yeah.
Snakes and Planes.
Here's the thing.
Yourself.
Here's the thing. I find sleep to be one of the most enjoyable things a person could do. Same with eating.
You haven't found that.
I envy that ability.
It's like I'm part dog, I guess. Then because dogs love to.
You got
sleep.
that dog in you?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Sleep is
all
so
dog.
good. Sleep is so good for your body. Don't get a lot of it, but sleep is so good for
Listen,
you.
because I'm completely the opposite, right? Like when I go to bed, I'll go to bed at say 11 o'clock. I know I'm not going to be asleep till at least midnight.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the thing. I can't. It's very, very hard for me. So it's a kind of a superpower I envy. All right, what's next?
From James Germain, how to fix Madam Web. Just give shit? Hello?
Yeah. I mean, so the other day, yesterday on the John Campea Show, I talked about the 3 steps to fixing the Sony universe, the Sony Spider-Verse. And none of the steps are, well, put Spider-Man in it. No, because then you'll just have a crappy movie with Spider-Man in it. We'll do this story from the comics. No, then they're just going to do that story, but they're going to make it crappy, so that won't fix it. The 3 things, what I said yesterday to fixing the Sony Spider-Verse is, number 1, slow down. Because they were in production, in various stages of productions of El Muerto, Madam Web, Kraven, and Venom 3 all at the same time. So they've never done that. Sony has no experience in that. Number 2, I said start caring. You look what they did with the animated things. They went out and got Lord and Miller. You look at the directors they put in place. You look at the producers they had in place. Sony did the most important thing that a studio should do. Put the right people in charge of guiding the project. And they clearly put a lot of care and attention into who they had running that. As opposed to Madam Web and Morbius, that they literally hired the worst writers in Hollywood. They did that for Morbius. The movie failed, and they said, let's just have them write the next one too, which was outrageously stupid. So number 1, slow down. Number 2, start to care. And number 3, stop trying to be the MCU. Like even in Madam Web, now that you've seen it, Chris, like right near the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, look, the Peruvian jungle people all look like Spider-Man because of course they do.
Can we talk about something that you didn't in your spoiler
Sure.
review? When did the film get developed?
Which film? Oh,
When did her mom and the Amazon go, hey, these are magical memories. I want to get this film developed, label everything with my name, his name, everybody's names. When did that happen in the middle of the Amazon?
Oh, you know what? Because I was about to say, that's not that big of a mystery, Chris, because they clearly gathered her belongings, her notebooks and everything, eventually gave them to her daughter. She probably got the film developed. But you're right. There's literally notes on the back of the picture.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't even catch
Like,
that.
when did that happen? And also,
Yeah,
why
when
did
did
those
that
girls leave a
happen?
forest fire? They left a forest fire. They left an open flame.
We're hungry. Let's go dance on tables.
It made
what
me
about
so
that
mad.
fire
A
lot of rain
forest?
in Peru.
It's fine.
A lot of rain in Peru.
It made
Yeah,
me
no,
really
there's
angry.
so much
That was
wrong
in-
with
that
that
was in New
movie.
York.
It's staggering.
It made me
All
mad.
right. What's next?
Okay, from Zach MTV. Hey, y'all. Love the show. Hope y'all are good. Just going to throw it out there. I would love to see Henry Cavill play Cyclops in the MCU.
You know, we talked yesterday that, there's a rumor going around. I don't personally believe it's true, but it's possible. I don't think you're crazy if you believe the rumor. I personally don't believe it, but whatever. And so the conversation kind of go, who could play? A lot of people wrote in and said Cyclops. And you know what? I thought that's a great choice. I think he is a great choice for Cyclops. Henry Cavill carries a commanding kind of presence. I mean, just watch him in The Witcher. He can carry that commanding sort of stoic leadership. I think he'd be a great Cyclops.
We've seen him shoot red lasers out of his eyes already. Does that come a little too close to Superman?
It just means he's practiced.
He's
at
practiced.
It. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think you're right. I think Cyclops would be a great choice. All right, what's next?
From Casinema, don't forget that Dune Part 1 got it the worst of the 2021 WB films because they released it on HBO Max the night before its theatrical release.
We didn't
We
forget.
did not forget.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what happened with all again. And I for whatever reason I'm freezing on the name of the guy who was CEO of
His last name's Killar.
Jason
Jason
Kilar.
Kilar.
Jason Kilar. Thank you, Ray. Woke up to gave me that answer. Yes, Jason Kilar. Made the most, it'll be taught in film school in history, the most idiotic, stupid decision ever made in cinematic history. We're going to get all of our movies this year and put them on streaming on the same day, completely blindsiding all the filmmakers and all the actors. And it pissed off all the, Denis Villeneuve starting writing articles and things about how idiotic it was. You lost Christopher Nolan as a result. It was just like one of the dumbest things ever. And yeah, like a big reason why Dune I mean, really, when you think about it, it's remarkable that movie made over $400 million.
Well, I think, wasn't it AMC who even said we just won't run WB movies from here on out? Like they had that threat.
They threatened it, but they didn't follow through with it.
But still, it's
Because they
sparked.
have an idiot for a CEO.
Let's go back a little bit. So you said that I woke up to give you that answer, but was the answer right?
It was right.
Thank
As it
you.
normally is.
Let's-
See,
next.
that's the confusing thing
next.
about you sometimes,
That's because
Ray.
you're just that gifted, man.
He's like,
You say
Kilar.
this.
Hold
no,
on.
seriously.
Forget the question. Let's go back to the more important part of
Ray-
your answer.
Was I right?
Was I right?
Ray feigns this. Oh man, I don't know. I'm just here. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh man, I can't remember who that guy in 1946 directed that movie. Right? Oh, was it Darren Pogosky? How the fuck did you? Like every once in a while, Ray just throws out this information that he just has in the top of his head.
Wow,
Anyway,
bless his baby.
all right, what's next?
From Wesley Cunningham. Y'all seeing the pitched Batman Beyond concept art dropped by the Spider-Verse director? Something brewing?
I don't know if anything's brewing, but we saw it. It looked cool.
Yeah, and it
mean,
wasn't.
3 of the 4 of
Ray
us are
said
very
it wasn't the
excited.
director; it was one of the
It
producers,
was like
Yeah.
two producers.
not
that were
Lord and Miller. Not Lord and Miller. Yeah, it's a Batman Beyond drawing.
trying- It's something though. We
Hey,
got
listen.
something.
I said a long time. I said after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out years ago, I said that you're still never going to see a Batman Beyond live action. But I said after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, an animated Batman Beyond movie is certainly more plausible now than it was before Into the Spider-Verse. So maybe that. I still don't think you're ever going to see a live action one, but an animated one, possibly. I've been saying for a few years that one's possible.
Here
All right,
we
what's
go.
next?
This is what it is
Ray GPT!
on your screen.
What? I got nothing on my
The
screen.
chat. You don't see the on the.
Oh, on the bottom,
Yeah,
Ray
yeah.
GPT. Brad Jackson. Ray GPT.
Whatever.
All right, what's next?
From Curtis Lopez. Ziegler's character didn't even have action scenes. All she did was run away. Oh yeah, what an action hero. She sang to them, Curtis.
sang to snakes,
She sang
man.
to the snakes.
And
And
she had a
they
kill. I
liked
think
it.
she had a kill in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
She had an action scene.
Yeah.
Give it up, man.
Hey, again, listen. Let me clarify, because for all the people who are going to deliberately misquote me, if people saw all those movies and because film is subjective, and you wanted to vote for Rachel Zegler, and you saw Keanu Reeves in John Wick 4, and you saw Tom Cruise there, and you saw Chris Pratt over there, and you thought Rachel Zegler was the best. Hey, listen, I disagree, but it's all subjective. It's a valid opinion. It's not a valid vote, though, if you ain't seen any other movies. And it's like, I just like Hunger Games, and I didn't see anything. Then it's not a valid vote. It's not a valid vote. Anyway, whatever. What's next?
From Andy, I'm so sorry you saw Madam Web, Chris. Perhaps I should have recapped it to you before you made the mistake of watching it. Laughed my ass off. Well, Andy, I told you guys I was going to watch it. And I believe in solidarity. So if all of them watched it, I went and watched it. And if you saw my review on Instagram, you know that Logan and I just adored it. He called it a transcendental waste of time.
Yeah, it's a horrible. And you know what? It's so bad. The only person in that movie that you could see was trying was Adam Scott. Like he can bring that natural charm, and you could tell he was trying to make a scene worth watching. But like everything from the dude who played the villain to just nobody else seemed to care.
I feel like Sydney Sweeney tried.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
She tried,
I
but
feel
it was
the same
also
way.
like, oh, but we don't believe this for you because
Yeah.
you're Sydney Sweeney. I feel like she was putting an effort.
I don't know. I was
Man.
even with Sydney, who I really like Sydney Sweeney. She's got a big hit out this year too with Glenn Powell.
Oh yeah, the Anyone But You.
Anyone But You thing.
Best action movie of the year.
Which looked terrible. But I mean, the whole thing about her character, like, oh, I'm so shy and awkward and blah. She's walking around in a stripper kilt, like the whole movie, and instantly with one nudge is dancing on the table for boys, and it's like what are we supposed to think about this character? Anyway, sorry, we could talk for
Hey, what I
days
think
about Madam Web.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Pass that Dune bucket.
Andy, having John Oliver on Sundays and Jon Stewart on Mondays is perfect. Stewart came back and reminded us why he's the GOAT, but Oliver came back to start.
Up there.
Reminded us why he's currently the king, particularly when Oliver offered $1 million a year to a SCOTUS judge to resign in his most recent episode.
Yeah, listen, I guess The Daily Show had its like biggest viewership like in the decade with Jon Stewart coming back on his first thing, which is he is the king of this, right? Like all the guys who are out there kind of spun out of Jon Stewart. Like even Steve Carell came out from under Jon Stewart, John Oliver,
Stephen
Colbert, like they all came from Jon Stewart. It's kind of crazy. And did you see his latest one on that frickin' moron Tucker Carlson?
Yep.
Russian.
And
Going
his
to the Russian grocery
thing?
stores and stuff. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, what would it cost $400 in an American grocery? It only costs $100 here in Russia. And Jon Stewart's like, yeah, what this journalist failed to point out is that the average Russian makes $200 a week.
Yeah.
And like, it is a scathing, but he's the best in the world at it. He's so good at it. All right, what's next?
From Mumra. Thoughts on the Damsel trailer? Has a great cast and fun fantasy premise. Millie Bobby Brown, Angela Bassett, and an evil Princess Buttercup?
Well, I mean, listen, we could, if we're talking about the actress from House of Cards,
Robin Wright.
If we're talking about Robin Wright, I haven't seen the trailer. If we're talking about Robin Wright, we can see a darker side to her. It was called House of Cards.
Yeah.
We've seen a darker side to Princess Buttercup. You know what, by the way, it is really nice seeing Wesley and Buttercup having big resurgence because we've got Carrie Elwes. I always want to call him Yules, but okay,
Yeah.
I
Carrie
think
Elwes.
it's Ellis.
Yeah,
It
it's
could be
Ellis.
wrong. Okay.
He's been popping up in a bunch of things, and he's got that new Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare coming up. She's been killing it. It's really nice to see the Princess Bride crew kind of doing good. Even Patinka.
Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah,
he's got a
he's
new
been
show.
doing a lot of stuff,
Death and
too.
Other Details. It's fun.
Yeah, that one's doing really well. So good for them. All right, what's next?
From DC63 Productions, Blade is currently scheduled for release on the 7th November of 2025. With all the writer and director troubles, what are the chances that Blade actually makes this release date?
Ray.
Ray. Ray doesn't look optimistic.
Yeah.
No. Look, here's the thing. A lot of things can be happening behind the scenes that we don't hear about, right? Like, remember, we just found out recently that Matthew Vaughn produced a movie in complete secret with Chris Hemsworth and Sam Rockwell. It's like, yeah, I was just watching footage of this movie I just produced. It's like, wait, what? And we never even heard of it. So a lot can be happening behind the scenes. So it's hard to say. Based on what we do know, and granted, we may actually know very little, but based on what we as fans do know, it's going to be tough to make that November 2025 release date. But for all we know, they might start shooting tomorrow. I mean, we just don't know at this point, so we'll have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
From The Blackout, are there any road trip movies that stand out to you? Currently writing one and want to do some research.
One of the underrated ones, certainly any of the family vacation movies, but one of the ones that was a little bit underrated, and I'm freezing on the name of the movie, but it's Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. Which one?
Due Date.
Due Date. Yeah, that one was a little bit underrated. I don't know if I've told this story before. Can I tell you this story quick about Robert?
You can do whatever you want.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, it's the John Campea Show. There's a sign right behind you.
That's right. So this was a few years after Due Date. And I'm at Comic-Con and I'm doing an interview with Robert Downey Jr. And I'm sitting there talking to Robert Downey Jr. and I've got a couple of other journalists around me, right? And out of nowhere, because remember this is after Due Date. This is a couple of years after it. And you know these stars get asked dumb questions that are similar all the time. Out of nowhere, Zach Galifianakis comes into the room. And he's behind Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't see him. And Galifianakis sees Downey Jr. And he walks up right behind Robert Downey Jr. and he waits until Downey finishes answering the question. And then Zach Galifianakis goes, Mr. Downey Jr., do you like being a movie star? And you could kind of see a little bit of the life in Robert Downey Jr.'s eyes leave when he hears the question. He says, oh, okay. And he turns to answer the question and he sees Zach Galifianakis there. And his reaction was, like, it was so good and so, what's the word for something that's pure wholesome? It was pure wholesomeness, right? It was really, really good. So that's a good one. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is another really good one.
I say on a serious note, Easy Rider.
Easy Rider's a really good one. I don't even think about that one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
The Wizard.
The
Oh yeah, the Wizard.
the video
with Fred
game.
Savage.
That's right. I forgot about that.
We Are the Millers or whatever.
We're the Millers.
We're the Millers is a
Actually,
fun
that's
one.
that's a little
It's a
bit
really
of one.
fun one.
All right.
Okay, I'll go back to sleep now. Thank you.
All right.
What's next?
From Sean Sheridan, do you think
WB.
WB might overreact if Superman Legacy is not a success and scrap or change this new DCU?
No, but listen, because they are smart enough to know what I've been telling everybody. Superman Legacy is not going to make a lot of money. The job of Superman Legacy, because you can't come out of 5 years of miserable DC failure and then just expect first movie out of the gate, oh, everybody's going to come rushing back. No. It's not going to happen. And Warner Brothers knows that. The important thing, and again, Warner knows this, for Superman Legacy is not to make money, it's to be really good. Because the first and foremost job of Superman Legacy is to rehabilitate the image of DC movies in the eyes of the general movie-going audience. You're not going to come out of the gate. It's like an athlete who's been off for 4 months due to an injury. They're not going to come back and have the game of their career on their first game back. It's going to take a little bit. They're going to have to shake off the rust. They're going to have to get back into it, all that kind of stuff. With DC launching a new thing coming out of pure disasters for the last 5 years, they know the audience isn't just going, ooh, we can't wait to go back to the next DC movie. They're not. Superman Legacy has to start changing people's minds. So the job of Superman Legacy is to be great, and they understand, hey, and if it can make some money, bonus. But Superman Legacy is to lay a foundation so future DC movies can get the audiences coming back because Superman Legacy was great, right? That's their main focus. And remember, the CEO of DC Films is James Gunn himself. So no, he's not going to change direction. And they know that the first one's not going to make a lot of money, but they got to make the first one great so that the fans like it, the critics like it, and then you start fixing the reputation of DC so that when the next DC movie comes out after that, then people are going to go, you know what, that Superman Legacy was pretty good. Let's go and check out this, what's the Batman Brave and the Bold? Let's go see Batman Brave or whatever the next DC movie will be after that. So no, they're not going to freak out if Superman Legacy makes $300 million because that's right around where I expect the movie to make. We'll see. All right, what's next?
From Yanyamor. Hey, John and crew, what's your prediction for Dune Part 2's total box office run worldwide? I would say around $650 million. Do you think it'd be higher or lower? Thanks.
It'll be higher. I mean, if the first one made $400 million in a pandemic while being available for free on HBO Max, then I got to believe it's going to make more than $650 million. But I haven't seen the movie yet. We can predict opening weekend, but it's hard to predict because the overall long-term total worldwide box office is going to be totally dependent on how good or bad I think the movie is, right? So if I go and I don't think it's very good, then I'm not going to think it's going to make, $900 million. But if I go to see it and I think it's like everybody's going to love this, then maybe I'll think it can make 1.5 billion. I'm not saying it's going to make 1.5 billion. I'm just saying until I've seen a movie, I can't make a guess as to what its worldwide box office will be.
818.
818. I mean, see, I can see it doubling what the first one made, right? Considering we're not in a pandemic and it's not going to be available for free on HBO Max. So, but other than that, it's hard to say. Ask me again Monday, because I'm going to see it this Sunday night. I'm going to see it in, which is what, 5 days from now? 4 or 5 days? Ask me again Monday. Then I'll have a better idea about what I think it'll make. We'll see then. All right, what's next?
From the Brandon Salad. Hey, crew. Have you seen Suncoast with Nico Parker? Absolutely wonderful slice of life film. Nico is so fantastic. Excited to see her do more projects.
Never heard of it. No. Have any of you guys heard of it?
No. Suncoast. No, I have not. I'll check it out.
It must be a direct-to-streaming thing. All right, but thanks for putting it on the radar. All right, what's next?
From Wesley Cunningham. Not going to lie, while I now just want to see Madam Web out of Morbius curiosity, I will not apologize. I stand 10 toes down on that pun. Sony has to see their SPUMC is just harming the brand at this point.
Yep.
They've been chasing the Spider-Man-less Sinister Six universe since 2014.
That was part of my 3-step plan to fix Sony is forget trying to be the MCU. I'm not saying don't try to build up to something, a little bit more stealthily. But man, God, that Morbius post-credit scene is one of the most painful things I've seen on a movie screen in so long. But yeah, I mean, they need to do a couple things, but one of them is just stop trying to be the MCU. Just try. Oh, where's Madam Web? Everybody's got to look like Spider-Man because people love Spider-Man. Oh, let's have the girls have it playing a game of guess the name of the baby, and just as somebody's forming the P letter in the word P, something happens. Like it's sad. It's pathetic. It's like you're watching like a really bad fighter and thinking, just stay down. Just stay down. Don't get back up. But here's the funny thing, Chris, and I talked about this on my open mic the other day. Mm-hmm. This is the same studio that made the Academy Award winning Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The same studio that then one-upped and possibly another Academy Award winning movie in Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah. This is the same studio that put out 2 Venom movies that collectively almost made identical money to the 2 Deadpool movies, making over $1.3 billion. It's the same studio.
Yeah.
That then does Morbius and Madam Web. It's like it's a studio with multiple personality disorder. Like who are we getting today?
Do they keep just hiring their nieces and nephews? I'm very confused because all these other things are so great, but then we keep reusing the same teams that have not delivered and not created successful films, getting worse, not getting better as we've moved along, right? I would watch Dracula Untold 1,000 times again before I go back and watch Madam Web until Madam Web gets like the Room treatment. I feel like that movie is just like Oh man, if that could become like a Tommy Wiseau kind of situation where you throw spoons at the the screen and you have like call and response and everything, that could be a really fun movie.
I'll even take a Mystery Science Theater 3000 on it.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you could have a riff tracks, if you could do some fun, ridiculous stuff, finish your drink when she says he was with my mom when she was in the Amazon, you know, those kinds of things, then it could be a fun movie, but on its own. Lord. But yeah, I don't. Why?
See, here's
why
the
do they
thing.
keep using the same people?
If you want to go back and use somebody you've worked with, instead of going back and grabbing the team that made fucking Morbius, why not go? You know who's in the building right now? We got those Lord Miller kids are in the building. Let's go talk to them about maybe shepherding, not making them CEOs of a division or anything, but let's go talk to them about maybe creatively shepherding some of our live action stuff. They seem to have a pretty good handle on things. It's like, if you want to go back and work with somebody you worked with, go to them. I'm not saying you have to go back to somebody. I'm saying if you insist on working with somebody you've already worked with, hey, you know, there's a creative team in your building right now that is completely crushing it with your Spider-Verse stuff in the animated realm. Why not let them take a kick? Why not hand them $110 million and say, pick a character and go. Let's see. I mean, get approvals and all that kind of stuff. But here's $115 million. Let's say $115 million budget, and pick a character and go. Let's see what you can do. Why not try that with people who have proven they can make great quality stuff for you, and they're killing it at the box office, with the critics, at awards, with the fans? Or here's a wild idea. Let's go back to the guys who made The Last Witch Hunter. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't fathom how people can be that stupid. Anyway, sorry, again, like I said, we could talk about Madam Web for days, and I will get carried away. Sorry about that, guys. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, I recently was able to rewatch Nimona on the big screen, and I'm glad that I was able to survive it. I'm glad that it was able to survive from being canceled by Disney originally. It's a win for the Pride community, and it got an Oscar nomination.
Which one's Nimona?
Nimona is the one that is Chloe Grace Moretz as the title character. It was a Netflix animated series. It's a very Arthurian legend kind of thing, where it's a futuristic setting, but we're dealing with knights and monsters and dragons and things like that still.
I'm not even aware of it.
It's
That's
a fun
fun.
watch.
Okay.
I personally, and I think it just got talked up too much for me, everyone was telling me that this movie was going to blow my mind, that I was going to love it so much, and I left it with, yeah, this was cute. This was cute. I need to
Okay.
rewatch it.
All right, what's next?
From Matt, any of you guys looking forward to watching Imaginary? I believe it's the next Blumhouse horror movie about the evil teddy bear. Thanks.
Okay, here's the thing. I love the premise of Imaginary. Not to be confused with Imaginary
yeah.
Friend, right? The premise of I think, did they show us the first glimpse of that at CinemaCon? Is that where we first, I can't remember if they showed us a bit of this at CinemaCon or not, but the idea of this mom and her family now are moving into her childhood home, the mom's childhood home. They're moving into her childhood home, and realize that her teddy bear, when she was a child, she had left behind and is still there. And now her daughter takes the teddy bear, but there's a twist. The teddy bear is alive, and it's pissed that the mom abandoned him there for 20 or 30 years. I love the premise of this as a campy little horror movie. I love the premise. The problem is I didn't think the trailer was good.
I laughed.
Yeah, right? So I don't think the trailer was very good, but the premise is solid. So here's hoping it really works.
It's just a big bag of nope for me. You know,
So
why
much
would you do
nope.
that to teddy bears? Why would you do that to the Temptation song? Why would you do any of this aside to personally victimize me?
It might end up being one of those like Five Nights at Freddy's movies where you laugh when you're not supposed to,
it
but
looked
then
like,
there's
but
going to be
Five
scary
Nights at
parts.
Freddy's, you are supposed to laugh.
I know, but like that's what it feels
but I
like.
don't
it's gonna
think you're
be like.
supposed to laugh at this one.
You sure?
Some of the people in the live chat are saying, wait a minute, they just ripped off the plot of Pooh, Blood, and Honey. I'm not
mean-
going to lie, there are some similarities there. This looks
You're
like
not wrong, Jet.
much
You're not
better.
wrong.
This looks much better. By the way, speaking of, I am very much looking forward to Imaginary Friend. I'm looking forward to If. I think that's going to be really,
It's
really
going to
good.
be cute.
John Krasinski directing. All right, what's next?
From Zelda Master, I popped 2 gummies the other night, and even that couldn't make Madam Web good. X-Men cartoon was fire, though. LOL. Oh, man. X-Men is great if you have a little helper with you. It's fantastic. It's great on its own, too, man.
I'm actually really looking forward to checking that out. Yeah. By the way, Marvel officially, because I can't believe there was actually some people speculating this, but Marvel has officially stated, no, the X-Men cartoon is not part of canon of the MCU. I can't believe they had to make that official, but they have made it official for anybody who was wondering otherwise. All right, what's next?
From Carmelo Smith, John, in recent news, people who bought digital content on Funimation will not be able to keep their digital purchases. I'm starting to see more issues about this more than ever. It's very concerning.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, up till this point, it's been very niche for anybody who has been really affected. Like, what was the was it not Disney Plus or Amazon? There was one of the streaming services where, like, if you live in Australia and you subscribe to this streaming services and you had purchased content from HGTV in this country on this streaming service, our license lapse, you're not going to be able to have access. Like, it's been very small and it's been very, very niche.
That was on the PlayStation.
Was it me? I think you're right. I think that was a PlayStation thing. Yes. Like that's right. If you had a PlayStation in a certain country and you had access to this content that you bought from HGTV, you're not going to have that anymore.
To be fair, I don't think they looked at, okay, Sony PlayStation users, how many are actually buying HGTV content. I think the loss on it would have been like very minimal. Well, again,
it was a matter that HGTV or whoever the content creator was, they didn't renew their license with the platform, so people lost their access. So it wasn't PlayStation's choice.
Right. They probably looked at the numbers.
They lost the right to stream. So, I listen, for somebody who has been buying digital content for well over a decade, I can honestly tell you, I have lost none of the digital content I've bought over the years. But if you ask me how many of my physical discs that I bought in all the years before that I have lost, it's a lot more than, it's many, many. I was talking to Rob about that too. It's like many. Look, I've been saying this recently. This comes to a point now where government needs to step in. Because we're not there yet. It's not a big problem yet, but government needs to step in before it becomes a big problem. And I think it's a very simple solution and a simple law that needs to get passed. Something that is similar to this. If you sell digital content to somebody through a portal, whether it's PlayStation, whether it's Amazon Prime Video, whatever, if for whatever reason you cease providing that digital content to that portal, you have to make accommodations for those consumers to still have access to that content through a different means. So if HGTV, and I'm just using this as a hypothetical, okay? If HGTV sells episodes to, Fix My Broken Kitchen season 1, and they sell it, and they have a license with, say, PlayStation to sell that season, and then 5 years later, HGTV, the license between HGTV and PlayStation ends, and they can't come to a new deal, and HGTV says, well, then we got to pull our content off PlayStation. That's fine, but there should be a law that then says HGTV is responsible to have a list of all the people who bought that content and provide another way for them to access it. That will fix everything, and it is government's responsibility to protect consumers, right? So again, it's not a big problem right now. It's hardly a problem at all. But it's going to become a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they put some rules in place to protect consumers.
There's just a lot of tricky things when it comes to digital content. There's something going on, I believe, with the NBA 2K game, where they recently, in the middle of a game, in the middle of their season, they actually are having players agree to a new terms of service. In the middle, they've already bought the game. There's a lawsuit that's happening where with digital coins that you buy in order to, now they want it to be like they don't own it. There's some. I'm just saying that digital content is going to be tricky to figure out rules for.
Yeah,
And it's gonna
but
be
they
one
got to
by
figure
one.
them out. That
Yeah.
You can't just go, oh, well, it's complicated. Listen, you got consumers paying money for products. You have to make sure that they get what they buy
And they're protected.
and they're protected. And it's really, it's tricky, yes, but not all that complicated. Hey, HGTV, you want to pull your content off of PlayStation because your deal's lapsed? That's fine. But anybody who bought your content through PlayStation, they have to still have access. You gotta set up something those people can still access it through another means. As long as you do that, it's perfectly good. All right, what's next?
From Lexi. Hey, John and crew, do you have a favorite scary movie? Hereditary and the first Conjuring movie are definitely in my top 5.
Yeah, everybody who watches the show knows the 2 films I'm going to say. American Werewolf in London, not to be confused with American Werewolf in Paris, very different movie. The original American Werewolf in London and The Descent. To me, those are my favorite and most terrifying movies. I love those movies.
I enjoyed Drag Me to Hell. I like
Oh
that one.
yeah. Well, you know what's funny? The one of the guys responsible for me and your sister meeting, Mark Neville-Dean,
Right.
his wife is the star of that movie.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then she retired from it.
Yeah. We haven't seen her in anything.
I forget Mark's wife's name. She was like a really big up and coming actress, and I'm freezing on her name right now. I can't believe I'm freezing on her name, but yeah, her and Mark got married, and then she kind of decided she wanted to retire from acting, and now they live on
Alison Lohman.
Alison Lohman. And so Alison and Mark, they bought a farm out in New York, and Mark's still in the entertainment business, but they decided to move out of LA, got a farm, and they live out there now.
I
in New York
completely
State.
forgot Justin Long is in Drag Me to Hell too.
Oh my God.
He's in that movie, so he pops up in places
I
that.
love Justin Long.
Yeah,
I love him
he's
so
great.
much. All right, what's next?
From Dave Akobe. Why does YouTube and studios allow channels to post fake trailers with fake thumbnails with titles like official trailer? Misleading clickbait is one thing, but this feels like it crosses a line. It can make it difficult and to find the real thing.
I'll tell you something. One of the biggest frustrations for me, just as a YouTube user, and you know me, I don't call out other YouTube channels. I don't name names. So I'm just going to talk about a practice that I see out there. And there are a couple of channels that are particularly egregious about this. But, you know, there'll be something, I'm going to make up a scenario just to give you an example. And I really hate it when YouTube channels do this. Let's say, for example, that, there's a rumor going around about, I don't know.
Jason Momoa as Lobo.
Sure. Actually, this is a good example, right? Or a rumor gets out there. Jason Momoa is going to be something or other, right?
Okay.
Well, then what one of these YouTube channels would do is make this admittedly really great looking thumbnails normally.
Oh, that's the one thing I love about those.
And it'll say, like, again, I'm making this up. This is purely, I'm just making this one up out of my ass, right? But it'll say something like, official Jason Momoa as Lobo announcement and teaser. But that's not true at all. That's not right. Or official this announcement and this. And I just see a number of YouTube channels doing it because they see that it works. And it's slimy. It's really slimy. And it drives me crazy and again, people see that it works. And more YouTube channels are doing it. And it's really frustrating. I wish they wouldn't. And I'm not saying that as a YouTube creator. I'm saying that as a YouTube viewer. It drives me crazy.
And it's usually made up of like cut up footage, actual official footage from other movies, just cut together to make the trailer, right?
Yeah.
It's usually something in that vein.
Anyway. All right. What's next?
That was it, actually.
All right. Which is good because that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Make sure you come on back tomorrow. Join me, Ray, Jonathan, Robert Meyer Burnett. We're going to do another little episode of this, and we hope you guys will join us. Also, programming note, there is going to be an open mic a little bit later this afternoon at 4:15 p.m. So if you just want to come hang out, it's more of a casual show. We're just going to chat and talk about any of the things you guys want to talk about. Come on by and join me about 4:15 p.m. this afternoon for open mic. So for everybody in the room with me, Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico,
Ray, wake up.
Chris Carr.
Let him sleep.
My name's
just a
John
baby.
Campea. Thanks so much for being here, guys. And until next time, bye-bye.